DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded by the first family of Florida State Coffee and based in Pensacola, Florida, DeLuna Coffee is the driving passion of the Lemmix family. Ed, his wife Courtney, and their son Brett. Their tailgating spot out front of the Unconquered statue is their own slice of paradise. But the real delight is DeLuna's blend of Kona, Maui, Kenya, Colombian, and Brazilian beans that they call their liquid gold brew. In fact, they called it Paradise. Try it or one of their 24 blends and get a discount when you use the promo code WARCHANT15. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. If you're listening to us on YouTube, cool. Thank you. Hit the thumbs up button. Check it out, Corey. Apparently, I probably should have checked this to confirm it, although that would almost signify that I don't trust Gene Williams to give me accurate information, which is not true at all. But apparently, it's all been fixed, Corey. Our iTunes feed is back up and running. So we got two of them going, but both work. So I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to kill off the DeLuna one or but anyhow, hopefully you're all listening to this. So if you're like, whoa, like what happened to you guys? We've been here the whole time. We've been trying to let you folks know. Yeah, so.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah. Go back. What do we got, Aslan? About 3 weeks of great shows.
Yeah.
Just in I mean, it's like y'all's lucky day. You found a treasure trove. Of 3 weeks, if you haven't known, 3 weeks of us still doing this show and being on a different feed. Now we're all together again. So go back. You missed a lot. You missed some great stories. So go ahead and listen to all of them. You have to.
WarChant.com remains your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access to the website. Corey, how are you though, man? It was a weekend. A weekend has gone by. I was back home. You were in the A. How are things? How are you?
Good. I will say this: when I told Stephanie that the iTunes thing had been patched up, she was very happy. She's like, "Oh, so we don't have to listen to Aslan say that at the beginning of every show anymore." And I'm like, "Well, hey, cool." And he's trying to. I said, "Well," and I did tell him that it made more sense to do it on YouTube because those people might not be. They might be looking for it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I had your back, Aslan. I had your back.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then the weekend was good. Brady was supposed to have a baseball tournament. It got canceled, even though Sunday was maybe the prettiest day of the year. Not maybe, it was the prettiest day of the year.
Okay.
But he didn't have to play. He didn't play, so we went and watched his mom play tennis and lose horribly.
Oh, singles,
sorry,
doubles?
Shanna. Sorry, Shanna. It was doubles.
Mixed doubles?
Not mixed doubles. No, not mixed doubles.
Okay.
But they were playing and it was crazy. So I know this isn't a Shanna tennis show, but I drove like 35, 40 minutes to go see this thing. Just because I want Brady his mom comes and watches him do stuff all the time. I think it's nice to return the favor.
Okay.
So we went and watched, and they're playing the top line. They're like A3 in Alta, which is pretty high, but they were playing the number one seed out of the number one line of 5 lines. I think that's how it works. So their team, it was supposed to be the 2 best teams playing each other from each team. And I promise you, the lady on the other team that beat the bejesus out of Shanna's team, all she did was lob.
Okay.
Backhand, forehand, every point she would hit it 25 feet in the air, always put it about a foot out of, a foot inside the baseline. But it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And Shanna got so flummoxed and flustered, she completely missed a shot. She completely whiffed on an overhead right at the net that should have been a point. It just was not screaming at people, screaming at herself. It wasn't her best moment, but it was incredible. It's like you wanted to be like, why are you out here playing tennis, lady? You can't get any joy out of just lobbing people to death.
Hey man, win.
It was ridiculous.
Just
anyway,
win. Just win. And man,
but is that how you want to win?
I just want to win. If Florida State grinds it out and they play Army football or Navy football,
but you're not playing for the Davis Cup. It's Alta. It's not a big deal. Like people are out there to hit.
Alta's big time, man. That's Atlanta's crown jewel of recreational sports, man. Come on.
I'm surprised they didn't start just anytime they got a lob. They should have just started pegging her partner at the net with it. every time. And that's the only way she'll learn, because the partner will walk off the court. It's like, I can't do this anymore. You're going to get me killed. But they both got frustrated, lost, and Brady got to see. It was a good example of how not to handle yourself when you're flustered. So it was all good times though. But other than that, good. It was a good weekend, man. Good weekend.
Fantastic. This show shout out is going to be dedicated to our guy on YouTube, Christopher Boyce, who a few days ago commented, "Football. Who cares about those other sports?" Baseball takes a series from Georgia Tech in Atlanta, 2-1. They were unable to sweep. They couldn't complete the deal on Sunday. Catch me up, Corey, as well as all our listeners of what went down this weekend. I guess Matt Nelson still has power. That's what I know for sure.
He does, but the bummer there is he hit a home run in 3 straight games because it's Matt Nelson. It's literally like watching these 9-year-olds play. There's a kid in these rec ball games that's always going to hit a home run. It's just you're waiting for it. Okay. That's what this feels like with him. It's every game now. But yeah, he's got 18 home runs now. He leads the nation. 55 RBIs, I think. He hit 3 home runs. They kept pitching to him. He had another one in the first inning on Sunday, and then had another one off the top of the wall, his second at bat, that would have been a 3-run homer. They probably would have won the game if that had gone over. But the bad news, Aslan, is he did something to his hand or his wrist. Got taken out of the game in the 6th inning. No, as you're listening to this, as we're recording this, no word yet on the severity. I would assume he'll get an X-ray on Monday. But you have to imagine it was pretty severe for him to be taken out of a game where they were behind. Whenever I think he came out when they were down 9-5. You wouldn't take your best hitter out of a game where you could really use a sweep. That would have been a huge win for them. Still had a good weekend as a team, but that would have been huge to pull off the sweep. And they took him out in the 6th inning. And one of the big pivotal moments of the game, his replacement, Colton Vincent, with first and second, I believe it was first and second, down by 2 maybe, hit into a double play to end the inning. Which you have to imagine maybe Matt Nelson does something different there in that spot. But that's what all Florida State fans should be worrying about right now, is Matt Nelson's health in his wrist and his hand. Because that guy is incredible.
Is anybody else helping out the cause? Nander hit a couple bombs. It was a typical Nander weekend. Had a few hits, some strikeouts, had a pretty important error. But his bats does seem to be. He's making some. He's having some impact at bats. Robbie Martin had a home run because he does. Tyler Martin got on base a lot and scored some runs. Cabell hit a home run on Sunday. There we go.
And worked a walk in a rally that they almost got back in the game. So yeah, man, I thought overall, it was a weird Saturday. They got up 11-1 and then went into all these delays and ended up having to hold on for dear life on Sunday because it got suspended. And they won that one 13-10. The bullpen was not good at all. But Messick was awesome on Friday night because he always is. Georgia Tech can really hit, and he shut them out, literally shut them out, him and Jack Anderson. So those two guys were good. And Hubbard on Saturday was really good, and the rest of the pen not so much. I shouldn't say that. Wyatt Crowell on Sunday. Man, how about that? Like, the guy plays center field. He starts in center field. I don't even know how it works. I guess he starts in center field, goes into pitch for a couple innings, goes back to center field. Like, I haven't been in a game where that's actually happened, but he pitched 2 2/3 innings on Sunday and was still hitting. So, Meat's having to really do some things here with this lineup and knowing the rules with the DH and when you can put him in, when a pitcher can hit, when he can't, all that stuff. But overall, it was a good series. They blew an opportunity on Sunday to pull off the sweep. Connor Grady didn't get out of the 2nd inning. That is a problem spot now. I think we can officially say that. He pitched awesome against North Carolina about a month ago. Since then, they've lost 3 straight Sunday games, 2 of which he has not pitched well at all. They gave him a 5-run lead in the first inning on Sunday. You already won 2 games, and then you've got a 5-run lead out of the gate, and you can't make it out. You don't even get an out in the 2nd inning, and they have to come and get you. And then they gave up like 6 runs in the 6th inning, and that was that.
A little bit worried about this whole reliance on the home run because we, as you and I know, being veterans of TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, ball don't fly out of there,
Right.
So they're gonna have to figure out a way.
That's a good point, buddy. That's a good point. And yeah, they maybe Nelson can hit a few out of there. Cabell, Nelson, and Robbie Martin might be the only 3 on the team that could get one out of that place because that place is a cave.
It's a cave.
So yeah, but they did what they had to do. That's a big win for them. for NCAA postseason hopes, tournament chances, even hosting if they can win some big series late. And then this week is Stetson on Tuesday, and then they face Troy. So it's a out of conference series this weekend. They face Troy at home. So you hope you can win 3 of the 4 when you're playing 4 games against Stetson and Troy
at home.
But again, the biggest deal is what's the prognosis with Matt Nelson, because right now you could make a strong argument he's the best hitter in the country. It's just nuts. This isn't normal. This is a tough year to hit, and the dude hits a home run every game, even though all the teams know not to pitch to him.
Oh man. So 5 p.m. Tuesday against Stetson, then 6 p.m., 2 p.m., 1 p.m. against Troy. I wonder, do we think this might be audition time for that Sunday role? Maybe we see Jack Anderson, maybe Carson Montgomery pitches on Sunday because, it's Troy. Not to belittle the mighty Trojans, Pike County, Alabama, stand up. Do you think this is the time where you maybe meet, or maybe not even really meet, but Bellinger kind of pushes some buttons on Carson, see if he can get back?
Well, Carson or Jack Anderson. Anderson pitched well on Friday night, then struggled a little bit Sunday. But Montgomery, I asked Meat, and we talked about putting Montgomery in the bull or having him work on the weekend some, and he came into that game when it was 11-1. Got 2 outs immediately, walked 2 guys, gave up a double, and that was that.
All right.
So I don't know if they had him on a pitch count. Like, we're just going to give you, this is your side session day anyway, so we'll let you throw 20 pitches. But it didn't. If that was an audition to be a part of the bullpen in the weekend, it did not go well. I just think, Connor Grady's just we're at a point now where you kind of know what he is, and when you have a kid that's going to be a pretty high draft pick, we all think if he stays healthy, you might want to try to figure out a way to work him in and try to make him the Sunday starter. But there's no guarantee he shines in that role either. He still struggles to throw strikes. So I don't know. I think they'll definitely go to the drawing board when it comes to that Sunday starter. Maybe they give Grady one more chance against Troy, but that's 3 straight Sunday losses in a row, and I think 4 of 5. In 2 of those losses are, 2 of those losses, they've scored 10 runs and 8 runs and lost them both. You can't score 8 runs and 10 runs in a college baseball game and lose. And that's happened now twice in the last month on Sundays, and that's Connor Grady's day. So they're not getting what they need to out of him. The other 2 guys have been really good, and most of the bullpen's been really good. They just they kind of did not pitch well Saturday and Sunday.
I was about to sing, one more chance, Grady, give me one more chance. I got that good, but, I'll save that maybe.
You almost sang that, but you didn't. That was good.
Meanwhile, softball, watch out. Here comes Lonnie and the ladies. Took 2 out of, I don't know how this worked on Sunday. They tied the second game. They just trying to just head out of town or something. I don't know. But otherwise, took 2 out of the previous 3 against Louisville, so 10-0.
They had the winning streak come to an end.
Folks, man. They just run rule folks. Now they're obliterating people. Obliterating.
Yeah, they had the win streak come to an end though. I think they'd won 15, 16 in a row, and lost on Saturday to Louisville. But then run ruled them on Sunday, and then they went 11 innings and did not score the second game on Sunday, and so they finally just called the game 0-0 tie. Yeah. So I guess they went 2-1-1. Against Louisville, so they held serve. They won the series. Louisville's not a very good team, but Florida State did what they had to do. They won the series. I guess you count that as a win since the last one didn't go down as a loss. So yeah, you won 2 and lost 1. So we'll give them a win. Actually hit a home run on as they were talking about it, and I don't get a chance to watch much FSU softball, but they were on the ACC network. And before Brady and I left to go watch his mom play tennis, I was watching that game, and the announcers were talking about how Florida State does it differently this year. They don't hit a lot of home runs. They don't have much power. And as they're saying that, Elizabeth Mason hit a home run, literally in the middle of them saying that. So that was fun. That was fun.
Yep, that's what happens. Start talking about this stuff, they jinx it. So they'll be back in action against. Oh gosh, I had it on the screen, and now I don't have it on the screen. I don't want to give false information. You did say hold serve though, which was cool. That was going to tee me up to talk about beach volleyball, which I
thought you were going to go tennis.
No, okay. we already did our tennis, courtesy of your ex-wife, so we got that out of the way. We're touching all the bases here today on the program. We also have Michael Langston later on the program talking about recruiting. Rivals camp down, I think in Miami, maybe it's up in Atlanta, I don't know, one or the other. Poor guy was tired, but he toughed it out because he is a pros pro. NC State is who Lonnie and the ladies got this weekend coming to Tallahassee. So volleyball wins the CCSA championship, which, as we all know, stands for Coastal Collegiate Sports Association. Victories over Wilmington, North Carolina, Wilmington, number 17, South Carolina, and then Saturday taking down LSU, who's number 4 in the nation, and then on Sunday to cap it off in the finals, 3-2. So here we are, 5 times in a row. NCAA championship tournament starts May 7th.
Okay, I hope they're ready. Get ready, get girded up, and make a run and win the darn thing. So yeah, that's good, man. That's good. That's 5 in a row they've won that thing, whatever you said the initials were. And now there's only one thing left to do, ladies.
Win the whole.
There's one thing left to do. And the men's golf team, Florida, we're just going to run the gamut. Everything that's going on right now.
Yes.
The men's golf team won their semifinal of the ACC tournament match play. And so now they play in the finals this morning. They start this morning, and they're trying to win. I think it would be their second straight ACC golf championship. I saw a crazy stat about the softball team, though, when they were doing that the broadcast on ACC Network. I think Florida State has won like 15 or 16 ACC championships in softball, and the whole rest of the conference has won 12. So they've won more than every other school put together, which is pretty remarkable. They're really good at softball.
Kind of like Florida State football at the turn of the millennium. You
remember how they used to do that? Do
Yeah.
you remember how Florida State football would win a lot of ACC championships? I feel like they strung together a lot in a row. I want to say like 8 or 9 or 11 in a row they started when they joined the conference. And it's been a minute now. We're looking at a 6-7 year drought now since they've won the ACC. So maybe this is the year, man.
And then old Ralph Friedgen had to show up and ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Hill, I think, was the quarterback from Maryland. Don't quote me on that one. ACC play will be at Capital City Club in Atlanta. Have you ever been there, Corey? Golf?
I have not. No, it's supposed to be nice. I think that's where they do. They used to do the end of the year tour championship at that course. Maybe
is it more elite than Golden Eagle? That sounds perhaps.
I feel like it is. Yeah. No offense to all my friends at Golden Eagle, but yeah, I think it's even a little more elite than that.
Yeah. FSU seeks their first ACC championship since 2008.
Oh,
and second
what's
in
going
program
on,
history.
Trey?
They face off against Clemson. It'll be on ACC Network Extra, so that's the streaming thing. Use it. You all have that. You all have access to ACC Network. Enjoy your Monday morning listening to that. I don't have anything football, man. I've got to force it. Here we go. I'll force football. You see Zaquandre White? Zaquandre White's in Columbia, South Carolina, had nearly 100 yards and a touchdown in their scrimmage, and everybody's been raving about him. Zaquandre, the often forgotten running back in that crowded room back in 2017, moved to linebacker and didn't survive the Willie sort of saga. I always want to go back and I want to audit Jimbo and see, because we always talk about his ability to evaluate players, obviously the good ones, but then I think in recent memory, the misses are kind of standing out more. And I just wonder how many has Nick missed on. Although, would I need to look at the percentages or the raw numbers? Because I feel like Nick still was getting more 5 stars than Jimbo did. Because, Alabama gets 5 stars, they also bust out everybody. They had, some Alfonso, his last name was, I think, a defensive tackle out of Jersey. He left. He went to Colorado. Apparently he has epilepsy. Left Colorado. Now he's at a junior college. There was a kid that played at Panama City Beach. He was a 5-star, went to Alabama. Nothing good happened. They had Ben Davis, 5-star linebacker, went in the portal out of Alabama. Didn't work out for him there. So it happens everywhere. It'll be crazy. Well, what if Zaquandre White ends up rushing for 1,200 yards in the SEC? What will we be talking about, Corey? We won't care
that would
because we'll be in the Belk Bowl, right?
But I also think it's not like they played somebody that was a scrub ahead of them.
Oh yeah.
He was behind Cam Akers, so it's not like it's not like they were like, oh, this guy can't play at all, change positions. But and then they had name someone, the Ball kid from Texas, Russell Ball, not Russell Ball. What was his name?
Yeah,
was that his name? Yeah. Russell Ball. Yeah, they played in front of him. I mean, he had a really awesome player right in front of him. But yeah, man, That happens. It's kind of the so he went to JUCO, right?
Yeah.
Zaquandre White went to JUCO route, and now, man, it's cool, man. Like I never got to know him at all. We weren't allowed to talk to those kids back then anyway, and so you couldn't really get to know any of them. But so many times a kid that
we
I don't know
spoke
if
to him once, and he was very introverted. Or not, I should say introverted. He was very, I don't know. He was very calm and sincere. Like I thought he was going to be very like churlish and short, but he was very sort of sincere and deep and introspective when he would talk.
I got the impression, and this is how life works now, man, and I'm owning it right now. When they were staying at the when they went and did that IMG thing and stayed in the dorms there. I remember seeing something on social media. Maybe it was touring his house. Like they were like Seminoles.com did something with him or something. I can't remember. But I remember him just being a big, huge goofball.
Yes.
And like just kind of, and that's not a bad thing, but it just seemed like he didn't take, and I'm taking it from one snapshot of his life, but I remember thinking, and maybe one of the players was like, yeah, he's crazy, but in a, in a fun, goofy way. Yeah. But, so many times that, a kid that doesn't play where he wants to play, gets frustrated, moves positions, and then bounces to a junior college. You go from Florida State to Dodge City, Kansas, or wherever the heck he went, to stick it out. And we've all watched Last Chance U, man. To go from those places and stick it out, and now he might be a starting SEC running back. That's good for him, man. That's a lot of perseverance, because a lot of kids, we've seen it. We've seen it recently at that position. In fact, the kid that was probably in front of him at that position, which I don't know where LeBourne is right now, but to see that
as a JUCO, I think he finally
and it would be great if he resurfaces in a year or two and actually has a career. But it's really cool that Zaquandre's done that, man. That's a neat. Those are always cool to me. They're cool stories, like somebody that resurfaces after 2 years, because we're in the media and fans. There's so many players that come through, you kind of just forget about them. And so for him to pop up and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, okay, he's going to start at South Carolina and he might run for. I mean, we're putting this on him, but say he runs for 1,100 yards. That's awesome, man. That's a great story.
Oh, I got
because a lot of kids don't make it. They just they go to JUCO and that's a wrap, and then they got to go figure out what to do with their lives. And now he's still living the dream and has a chance to have a professional career. That's all awesome.
Oh, you ready for the remix? Forcing the football. I took your request to do like an R&B version, like slow jam.
Okay.
All right. You done left me. I missed the fall. Come back. Let's force the football all night till dawn. Forcing it with Corey and Aslan.
Okay. Look, man. I
Florida State got a transfer in basketball from Kentucky. Cameron Fletcher. What do we know about that, Corey?
So I thought we were forcing the football, and then we go right into the basketball.
We just did it. I didn't intro it. I outroed it.
Okay, I was good because I was a little dumbfounded after the remix. I didn't quite know what to say. Yeah, and he went to Kentucky. He was like the number 48 or 49 player in the country in the 2020 class. He played barely at all there, averaged like less than 2 points, and also left the team temporarily in the middle of December. So, you don't think, oh my gosh, you're getting the next Kevin Durant when you hear stuff like that. But I have talked to some people that would know within the program that think he is super talented, and it just wasn't people listening to this that know basketball, you can imagine sometimes maybe John Calipari isn't the right fit for a player. And when you're in this day and age where you can transfer at the drop of a hat, why not go transfer out? He did. They think they're getting a very, very dynamic basketball player. We'll see, but they think they're getting a really good one.
Number 10, small forward last year, number 49 overall in the nation. He's a 4-star out of Vashon High School in St. Louis, Missouri. Maybe Vashon, but I'll say Vashon.
Okay.
So that's cool. All right. Good stuff. I think I would imagine they're still out there for one more. He's I think he's going to be a wing. He's definitely a wing. He's a 2, 3, or 4. But yeah, I think they still need maybe another big, a forward, a 4 or a 5. But unless our man Ngom's going to hold it down. But also, speaking of basketball, I wrote a story that's on Warchant because I talked to Leonard on Sunday about
the thing he tweeted, I know you didn't see it, but he tweeted out a picture. Okay, good. Yeah. Of the 10 graduates, the 10 players on the team that graduated this weekend and walked. They all were in their robes, and that was just it was a really cool picture. Like what college basketball team has 10 graduates in 1 year in a photo? Raekwon Gray was there. Both Raekwons were there. MJ, Jack. The walk-ons, Miles, Linder, Malik Osborne. So that's Wyatt Wilkes. So that's really cool that Polite, that they've all graduated. So you're gonna have three players next year at least that are gonna be grad students. So that's cool, man. That was a really neat picture, and just kind of talking to him about why that's so important to him. Education, degrees, all that is very, very important to him.
Absolutely. Did you mention Polite? I think you might have.
I did. Yeah. Polite too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's awesome. I think even like John Rothstein, who's, I don't know, big college basketball personality, reporter, even retweeted and was just like, it's amazing what Leonard Hamilton does. Walks it, talks it. So fantastic. Congrats all those guys.
Then, Rothstein talked about where education isn't really thought of that much anymore in college basketball. And it kind of, to me, read as like a shot at like the Scotty Barneses of the world that, they're obviously not out for the education there, but I mean, I don't read it as that, because the Scotty Barneses and Patrick Williamses, when you're going to make $10 million in the blink of an eye, you have to go do that. You just have to. But I do think that college basketball might be getting to a point, and I kind of wrote about this, and Leonard talked about it, where there's some unintended consequences with either the G League, this new league they're going to be starting apparently for high school stars, as opposed to going to college. I mean, who knows how that's going to affect it, and all the portal stuff, where it's like everything about these kids' lives now is either about playing time or making money, and none of it is about education. And we can all roll our eyes and say, well, yeah, but and I've done this before. Coaches don't get paid in scholarships; they get paid in money. The players need to get some of it too. But yeah, at the same time, it is really one of the big benefits if they're doing it right at a place like Florida State, because Leonard cares. This isn't a basketball factory where they're just trying to keep kids eligible. I mean, he's actually wants them to get an education and graduate. It is a big deal for their family, and it's a big deal for those players long term, especially the ones that aren't going to be in the NBA. So he hopes that doesn't just become an afterthought in college basketball, the degrees and the graduating. So that's again why he was so excited and. Not excited, just
proud.
Just
happy.
proud of what happened on Saturday.
All right, this is what we're going to do now. Here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Michael Langston is going to talk about recruiting, catch you up on some stuff, quell your fears if you're still worried about the decommits from last week, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in the one-on-one, the Warchant one-on-one with the now departed director of sports medicine for Florida State, Jake Pfeil, long-time head athletic trainer for Florida State, now going to be the director of sports medicine for the Atlanta Falcons. So that's a huge
He's going to be living in my neck of the woods.
That's right. So
part-time.
Lots, usually and per usual, great feedback on that with Ira and Jake going with their one-on-one. So that'll be at the end of the program as well. So stay tight, or rather hang tight, and that will be the remainder of your Monday program. We'll have a Wednesday live show, Corey, so that's breaking news.
You and I are doing a Wednesday live show?
I think so, yeah, because I won't be here Tuesday. So
okay, I was going to say if we could maybe move it to Thursday.
We can do it.
Well, hey,
Thursday.
folks, we'll talk about it. We'll think about it. We'll spitball when we can do it. But I think Thursday might be best, but I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, we'll do it. We'll do whatever you want. We'll do everything.
I just want to hear that song again. I don't. We have to have musically inclined people that listen to this.
We got Ham. Doesn't Ham have a recording studio? I'll go.
He does.
Why don't we drop it on wax?
We should go over there, but there's got to be somebody that can put that to a beat. They can drop a little beat, a little bass line behind it, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, let's just see where it goes. After the initial shock of hearing it, with no warning, it just came out of your mouth. I feel like I like it. It grew on me a little bit, and now I hope we can make it a steady part of the show.
All right, there we go. All right, more show coming up right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's Wake Up Warchant. It's still fueled by DeLuna Coffee. As promised, recruiting wrap up from the past weekend, courtesy of Michael Langston, who quite literally, I think, just arrived back in Tallahassee. Man, you're Mr. Worldwide. Atlanta one weekend, Miami the next. How are you, Michael?
I'm pretty tired, besides that, I'm good. I'm good. Just busy weekend again, and certainly a Rivals camp in Atlanta. So there's a lot of good talent there today.
How do our guys look? How many guys of Florida State interest were out there? I saw some videos of Gabe Harris, right, from Thomasville, Georgia, was down there. Who else was doing some work for the Rivals folks down there in Miami that's got Florida State on the mind?
Yeah, FSU commit Cam Davis was also out there. He's a running back for the 2024 class. He's already committed to FSU. He's out of the Albany area. He did really good. He looked really sharp. Gabriel Harris I thought, was the best defensive lineman out there. Just a really good. He is just what the doctor ordered for FSU as a pass rusher. He just gets after the quarterback like crazy. So he is going to add a lot to that defensive end position. I was very impressed with Gabriel today. I think he really put on a show.
So was the Miami camp, did it feature more like freshmen, sophomores, or is that the way the cookie just crumbled with some of the younger guys, at least Florida State interest being down there at that camp?
I think it was just there was actually more talent at this one than I thought I saw at the Miami one. The Miami one had a few more elite guys like a Brandon Ennis and stuff like that, and there was a few more guys. But as far as top heavy, Miami camp was probably a little bit ahead. But as far as just the overall big draw of just 4 stars for 2023 and 2022, they were just everywhere at this camp. There were just so many dudes. I think 2023, there was just so many guys that were just really talented players that certainly were at this camp and made a big showing. And it was really difficult to keep track of everything because there was so many guys there.
I don't know if there's any new names on the radar per se, but was there anybody that you went down there and you kind of knew that maybe Florida State had some interest in, or they had some interest in Florida State that now you're thinking, one of these sides should maybe start cranking up a little bit just by the way they perform at the camp?
Yeah, I'd say Antavius Woody is one that really stood out to me. He won the MVP for defensive line. FSU's actually recruiting him as an offensive tackle, but he can play both. I think he told me after the event that he's kind of split on schools going after him as an offensive lineman and some with a defensive lineman. But this kid was ferocious. He impressed me a lot. I think he's a 3-star, but he didn't look like no 3-star when I was watching him. He was extremely impressive. So I think that was the kid that really just jumped out to me for sure. If I was going to list one guy, it would be Antavius Woody. He was extremely impressive.
All right. Big picture-wise, Michael, everybody, it's a new week. Do we need to talk people off the ledge still? Has everybody kind of calmed down from what happened last week, transpired? Is everything's going to be okay? This is just kind of the weekly platform for you just to remind everybody it's going to be okay if you'd like to do that. You don't have to, Michael. If it's not true, don't do it, but I think...
No, it's true. Everything's fine. They're not doing anything wrong, but commits are going to happen and decommits are going to happen, and especially when you're dealing with things opening back up. That's going to be a natural reaction where you see kids. And I got news for people. It ain't going to be done anytime soon because you got a lot of kids that are taking June official visits. You got some kids that are, deciding in May, and then they're going to take official visits later. So decommitment season is going to be full-fledged, not just for FSU guys, but just overall across the country. But I think FSU's fine. I don't think
so. That's a thing now. Decommitment season's a thing now, Michael.
Yeah,
okay,
it is.
Okay.
Well, especially the way you have things now, because look at all these kids that are taking June official visits. You got a whole year, a whole calendar year to go. But I understand why they're doing it because they're panicking because of what if they get shut down again? What if they say COVID and you can't visit anywhere and we go for a dead period for a whole year? So I understand they're rushing to get official visits so they can get their visits in. But I just think that also offers problems where you're going to see more kids decommit because then you take an official visit and then later you go see a team play in a game type atmosphere, you're like, well, crap, I want to go there. So it just changes everything. So I could see a lot of decommitments that certainly could happen, but I don't think FSU fans need to worry about what they're doing. Even with the recent decommits they had, I don't think FSU should worry. And two, it's going to be a big event for the June 6th mega camp they have coming up. So they have several camps coming up, so they're going to get plenty of momentum from that. They're probably going to get several commits from that. So they're going to certainly grab the momentum back, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as FSU fans needing to worry. Yeah, you're going to hit on some kids, you're going to miss on some kids. That's just normal. That's just recruiting, and that's a normal procedure. And then you got to go out there and you got to show it on the field during the season. And if they show a better product on the field, they're not going to have any trouble getting some very talented players to come to Florida State. So that's the gist, I would say, to FSU fans that are worried. Just because these recent rash of decommitments, I wouldn't worry about that. I think they've certainly positioned themselves to have a really good class, to have a lot of momentum, and if they do what they're supposed to do or are capable of doing on the field, you shouldn't have anything to worry about as far as recruiting. So I think it'll take care of itself. I mean, unless you just bomb out there and just start the season like 3-6 or something.
That would never happen, not in Florida State. Last thing before I let you go, Michael, you did mention the mega camp that's coming up in June. Obviously, there's still plenty of time for more details to emerge, but what's been sort of the buzz, maybe not so much maybe even the players, but just in the recruiting community, in the circles, and the coach that you talk to about what Mike Norvell and the staff is doing? It seems like they added, I don't know, like another dozen schools, it seems like, last week. So, I mean, mega camp it sounds like it's going to live up to the billing, at least in terms of sheer number.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like this where you invite 20-something coaches from other schools to go, I guess, work your camp some too, and be there. And I would say in Atlanta today, I probably talked to like 15 kids that they mentioned the June 6th camp that they're going to. So there's like a lot of top-rated kids that were at this Atlanta camp that are planning to come over there. I mean, you got guys like, I think Daniel Martin's going to be there. He's a 4-star linebacker. I think several guys have mentioned to me today that they're going to come over there for that camp. And it's just big when you have, it's just smart. It's smart preparation when you have other coaches there, because you don't know who could leave your staff later on, and you build relationships with these young guys that are on these staffs, and you never know when they might have something that Norvell's looking for if you do somehow lose a coach or two. But it's just smart just to have them there, because it brings more excitement and prestige to your camp when high school kids know there's going to be other coaches there from other schools. Maybe I'm not a Florida State guy. Maybe I'm a South Florida guy. Well, South Florida's going to be there. Maybe that's more of a fit for you. And so it's just a smart move overall. It doesn't hurt you, and it also just builds more excitement among recruits when they know just other coaches are going to be there to help develop them and help coach them up. I think it's a big deal, and I think it's a smart deal, and I think we're going to see a lot of we're going to see a massive group of really good prospects at this June 6th event.
Welcome in for another Warchant one-on-one. This is Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com, and I'm joined today by a guy who I'm not really sure why we're doing this, because he's about to leave town on us. Jake Pfeil is Florida State's longtime head athletic trainer for football. Before that, he was the athletic trainer for baseball. He's been involved in FSU's sports medicine department for a couple of decades now. Also did his undergraduate work at Florida State before going to grad school at Mississippi State. And he is, if you've been paying attention to the news, he's leaving the program. He's got a job as director of sports medicine with the Atlanta Falcons, which is a great accomplishment, much deserved, and we're happy for you, Jake. But before you leave, we wanted to sit down with you and talk a little bit about your time at Florida State and where things are going. So first of all, congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ira. It really hit me. You just said it, but also in a few of y'all's articles when it started off with long time athletic trainer, that doesn't seem normal or right, but it is. but it has been a long time all of a sudden, but a good long time. So
Yeah, actually, it hasn't been that long. I searched your name on Twitter and to see if the news was out there. And I came across one of my tweets when you took the football job 10 years
yeah.
ago. So that you've only been doing in the scope of Twitter that you got the job as head athletic trainer for
Yeah.
football. So, but like, we said, you had baseball before that. So we're going to talk about some of that, some of your time at Florida State, things you saw, things you participated in, and then also kind of looking forward. First of all, though, on the topic of the Falcons job, um, I mean, that's got to be kind of I'm not gonna say the pinnacle of your profession, but getting an NFL job, you're gonna be heading up their sports medicine department. And that's incredible. Was that something that you had on your list, or did you expect maybe you'd just be a college athletic trainer for your career?
It kind of came and went back and forth several times, I guess, through my whole career. When you first start to get into this, even in college, you always look at, okay, well, that might be the top level, so you kind of throw your eyes at it. And then I had those opportunities while I was in school to start interning with them, with the Falcons, even during summers, where you go up there and just absolutely work your butt off for training camps and get a lot of experience and exposure. And even then, yeah, it was like, all right, this is pretty cool, but still just in school here. And when I got done with graduate school, I went and did a whole season with them. That was way back in 2002. And honestly, after that, while I enjoyed it, I kind of afterwards thought, I don't know if that is for me back then. And it was, at a time in my life where, my wife now was getting done with school for herself and was trying to figure out, what's next and looking at different opportunities. And, somehow we ended up back here and that's where we've been, but then you do start to look at it again, as you start kind of checking things off along the way, and certain things get accomplished as you go and you grow and you kind of start looking at it again, and it did kind of creep back in my mind here a few years ago. But it had to be the right place in the right spot in the right time. And all of a sudden those three things just hit. So
When as I said, you're a Florida State guy, you did your undergrad at Florida State. You're, even though you work for the school, a lot of people take checks and work for schools, but you are a Florida State guy. And you and Cheryl, your wife, have been with the department for so long. That's kind of the thing that I've heard from so many people, over the last couple of weeks is, people can't even imagine, what that sports medicine department is going to be like, and really FSU athletics without you guys around. From that standpoint, is it hard to even imagine, not putting on garnet and gold and heading into the Moore Center Monday to Friday, well, Monday to Sunday?
You can't say it's not going to be hard and already is. And yesterday was my official last day. And guess where I went today? I went back down there because I still had to go get some more stuff, but I don't know what tomorrow holds. I might be back there tomorrow. I'm not sure, but it will be, and this process with the Falcons has been going on here for a few weeks. So even after the interview, I felt pretty good about it, that it could happen, and I kind of started preparing myself then for that whole mental exiting process, and that helped a little bit to be able to take a few weeks to really get through it and start thinking about things. And the office I was in, I'd been in that office for 10 years and there was a whole lot of crap in that office that just slowly piled up. I'm a packer, hoarder, or whatever, pack rat, but that took a little while. But what it is, and it is especially to people too, more than anything to people. And there's been plenty of great people that I've dealt with that have come and gone, but still the ones here, when you're the one that's going to be gone and leaving them, and the things that are going on that you see, and especially with the newer football staff that we've got and the things we've been working through together already. And I was really excited to work with a lot of these people, and that's hard. But you stay friends for sure, and there's a big piece of me that's always going to be here and always have an eye on it. That's for sure.
Before you took over the football athletic training, I guess in 2011, I think was the year right after Jimbo had taken over as head coach. Before that, you did baseball. What was it like working for Coach Martin Sr.? And, obviously some tremendous teams you were a part of. What was, what was that time like? And at that time, not comparing it to football or anything else, but how much did you enjoy your time doing baseball?
People ask me all the time, what'd you like better? You like that better? Baseball better, football better? And you can't compare them. There's zero comparison between the two. They're completely different. And there's great things about both. But I got no hesitation in telling people the 6 years I was with that program were 6 of the best years of my life. I was at an age that it was really my first job of really like, that's your team to go take care of. Hands-on all the way, like you're making the calls. And so that was great for me. But I was at an age over those players where I was kind of like their big brother in a way, right. And there's some guys from those teams that lifelong friends, at this point that I'll be close with till the day I die. And it was really a great 6 years of my life. And working for 11 was, you knew it at the time, how cool it was and how big a deal it was. But it just kept growing every year, how cool it was, and I learned so much from him about how to handle guys, how to handle athletes of that age and the things they're going through. Cause obviously he'd been doing it my entire life. And
then some.
There were just so many lessons from him that could happen at any minute of any day doing anything, no matter what the setting was in, out on the field with the team or just hanging out in the coach's locker room or having a beer with him in the room on the road. I mean, so many opportunities with him to just learn about it all. And not to mention just learn about baseball, but that was one thing, of course, but just the job and handling not just players, but administrators that you deal with and the challenges that come there. There's no way to put a value on the time that I got with him. And he's one of the best men I've ever known. And he's like another father figure to me in a way. And also just a really good friend, that you can count on. And again, I can't keep saying how much you just learn from the guy.
Yeah. Did you, with that in mind, when Jimbo approaches you about making the move to football, was there any apprehension about that? I mean, obviously it's a bigger status, more pay, everything else. But you were so, and again, for people that don't know, I mean, we know because we see you every day, but athletic trainer, I mean, you're in it, man. Like you're in the locker, you're in the clubhouse, you're in the dugout during the games, what everybody's going through on the team. So you're a part of it. Was that difficult at all, making the move to football?
It was, because again, I was so comfortable there those 6 years. I was growing, but I was so comfortable being there and being with him and the players we had. But we talk about it all the time. You're getting out of your comfort zone, right? It's growing, and it was time to do that. And I remember it was after we got our brains beat in, I think, by Texas A&M in the Super Regional. It was our last game there for me. And the very next day, after any baseball season, whenever it ends, he's going through all these player meetings. Every single player's got to go up and have a meeting with him. Here's the plan for off season next year, or see you later, or whatever. And he got all the way through that day. And I think I sat in his office for about 2 hours, because he was going through some stuff too at that time, making some staff changes that were really hard on him. And we just let it fly for each other for about 2 hours about changes that have to be made and things we got to do in life. And I think we were therapeutic for each other, honestly, that day. But he knew I had to do it, and to have a guy like him, I know I had to do it, but have a guy like him be the backup voice to say, you got to do it, and it's just time. But it's crazy. I remember those years there, and especially towards the last couple of years, I thought, I don't know what's next for me, but I remember saying, I'm going to be the last guy that ever worked with him here, Yeah. And I think there was 3 more after me. or maybe 2 more, I guess. But, things like that seem silly when you think about them now. But it was the move. And he, again, having somebody like him just validate it that it's time for you to go do something, and I felt good about it, that it was 6 great years there, and I had gotten everything I needed out of it. And hopefully I gave them what they needed, and it was time for the next thing.
So do you, in everybody's line of work, you become better as the longer you do it. But I think when we think of, athletic training or sports medicine, you think, okay, what these injuries are, and what the rehab is prescribed. But how different are you as an athletic trainer? Do you remember yourself in the early 2000s? Do you remember, or have you seen yourself evolve, and in what ways?
Yeah, I didn't know anything. You think but there's not a day on this job that seems like that you don't maybe encounter something new, honestly, or a new way to look at it, and that's one of the great things about the job is you never know what's going to walk through the door some days, or what situation the tide's going to bring, and you got to be ready to keep learning. As soon as you stop learning, you're probably dead. So,
and is it mostly like how to deal with different people in their different circumstances?
Well, there's honest to goodness. There's medical conditions that show up sometimes that you just never dealt with because it's something weird or something rare, or maybe somebody have some sort of odd traumatic injury that sure you knew about this, but it's not like something you see every day, and maybe something you might have saw once in your career that happens to somebody,
Right.
So there's always, you got to be ready for anything, and on that note too, you got to be ready to find some answers, and that's a great thing about our profession is we're all very close knit, my colleagues at other schools, and we're all fighting. There's no rivalries in our profession. We're all fighting the same fights and living the same life and trying to do the same thing for the athletes and the patients we take care of. So you talk to each other so much, and that's a great thing about this profession is whatever shows up, and maybe you're just not sure, you can find some advice on it somewhere, and that's a real rewarding part of it, I think, the resource that we all are for each other. But you're asking, what have I learned? School is one thing, and school teaches you the basics and a lot. And I talk about this all the time, but you don't really learn anything until you get into like graduate school where you've got real responsibility and where you're maybe then really taking care of a team on your own. And I did football in graduate school. So it wasn't just me taking care of Mississippi State football, but the boss I had there had so much stuff going on. And he had 2 graduate assistants helping him with football. And that was it, which is about as small a staff I've ever heard of in Power 5 football. So we had this just incredible opportunity to learn there, the other graduate assistants that were with me. And until you're doing that, the stuff you learn in school's got to be there. It's got to be a foundation. But until you're doing it, you're not getting anything really figured out. So, but again, I don't think it matters how long you've been doing it. There's always something new coming up, it seems like.
So when you go over to football, it's a pretty good time. Jimbo's first few years, the program flips from the end of Coach Bowden's tenure, and obviously the team wins it all in 2013. That run was unbelievable. Could you tell that the level of athletes, from day one, that, okay, these guys are a little different than what's been coming through here for the last few years? Was it obvious?
The guy knew a little bit about recruiting. There's no doubt. And those early years of all that, and when that opportunity came up, you talk about making the decision to do it or not. It was such a chance to recognize, okay, and of course it had been down, right? And it was, okay, I get to potentially be a part of trying to get it back up, and you felt like it could happen, and certainly let's go, and to have that chance and really see Jimbo's direction on where he wanted to take things. But yeah, man, that guy could go find them, and you look at those players we had 2011, which class, the 2011 class was, I think, was the #1 class in the country, right? And
Seems right.
So their junior year.
Or in 2012 was a great class too. That was 2012 was
They
when
were
James
all-
came in. Yeah, but
but
it was
I
one
think
after
the
another.
2011 class was you know, O'Leary and Rashad Green and those guys, Freeman and all those guys. So when they're a junior, that's when we punch the ticket, you know, and it just makes sense. A number one class, then 3 years later, they're national champs. So, yeah, man, there was, you know, even the baseball years and not participating every day with football, you saw what was around, and not to downgrade anybody, but yeah, it was a big change in what was walking through the door those years, you know, and it was hard. It was hard work. Those years were him trying to establish back to the culture he thought it needed to be of real toughness, you know, and it was work big time. And there was a lot of beat up players, you know, and a lot of really, really, really tough practices. And it's year round, you know, there's no doubt about this stuff. This football stuff is year round now. Okay. And season goes right into those February workouts. It was fourth quarter program, we called it then, you know, and then that's right into spring ball. And then you take a couple weeks off and you're right into the summer program, you know, and then that goes right into training camp. I mean, it's nonstop. So it was really rewarding to be a part of that and that build up from 2011 to 2012. And, you know, obviously 2012, we were really good too, but that hitting the peak in 13 and to be a part of that was extremely rewarding and really everything I ever wanted to do as far as this job, it was to come here and do that. So
what did I was going to ask you one thing about Jameis, but I'll come back to that. But you're talking about how physical practices were at times, and it's kind of legendary now. And Jimbo talked about it back then a little bit, and then I've since seen James Wilder and some other people have done interviews talking about it. That one practice where they went goal line. I think Jimbo told us right afterwards. They went goal line like 17 or I don't know how many straight plays, and just kind of went to war.
It was upper 20s, as I recall.
Yeah. As the athletic trainer, you know, looking after the care of these young men, what are you thinking at that point, and how did they come out of it?
You know, well, they were beat up, but as I recall it, it was the last Saturday scrimmage prior to the spring game. We were in Doak, and it was just a normal old scrimmage day, which would end with a goal line, maybe 8-10 plays or something. And it just got out of hand by the players doing it. You know, it wasn't Jimbo or anybody saying, line up and do it again. This is awful. It just got crazy. It got intense, and it got very chit chatty, and they kept lining up and going. And then once they were showing that response, then yeah, Jimbo and everybody were kind of ripping and snorting and going with it too. Right. But
let's run it back.
Yeah, no, he was just like, yeah, do it again and go ahead, you know, but it was the players doing it. It really was.
Right.
And I mean, gosh, some players, man. But I do remember like somebody, I think it was Tim Jernigan, you know, stuffs a guy, or there's a big pile up right there in the A gap or something, and he's down and everybody's up, and I go look at him, and he looks like, you know, he's a little out of it and probably has a head injury, you know, and he is not letting me take him out, you know, wanting to stay in there. Like I'm having to know, like, Jimbo, help me here or something, you know, this guy can't keep going, you know, so we got him out. And I think there was 4 or 5 guys that didn't play in the spring game because of that goal line session, but nobody cared because it truly was a cross the line moment, you know. And I told Mike Norvell about this back before spring ball when we were just talking about expectations for the spring, and I told him about it. And that stuff's still on tape. You can go watch it, you know. Wow. And he did, and his eyes were kind of lighting up when I'm telling him about it. So we had a similar day this past spring, by design though, a little more extended goal line period, as you know, as well in there in the stadium one day that Coach Norvell had planned up. And I thought it was also really good, you know, but that day in that spring was definitely a line was crossed that day, you know, and you really knew what you had. And there was a lot of excitement after it.
I remember talking to people about Jameis. There's a million Jameis stories. Obviously you got to see him as close as anybody, but I remember talking to some people, Mark Robinson and other people later after the fact, and they would just say that, you know, a lot of the things Jameis did in terms of talking to the team and the way he was around the players and stuff, that just like nobody knew what he was going to do, but he just had that natural charisma, or just knew how to. Is it unlike anybody you've been around? I mean, in terms of that part of it?
Is Jameis unlike anybody I've ever been around? Yes, in many ways. Sure, I've been around other quarterbacks that had that quarterback it to him, but Jameis had a lot of stuff to Jameis, that.
But like the pregame speech at Clemson, like that,
Yeah.
I think people think that was kind of like, not choreographed, but the TV cameras were in there but like, it wasn't like he was coached up to, he just started being Jameis.
That's him, man. And there were other times you'd see it as well, he is so smart. The guy is really, really smart. And, certainly Jameis as a younger man had some silly times about him that we all know about and things that happened, but that's growing up, and he has grown up a lot. I talked to him last week, and he is such a bright human being. People don't think about that. That guy is smart, and that you can't play quarterback like that, right? And not be smart. And but you talk about the draw to him, and it is, and everybody, like from day one, there was a draw to him. I remember one time at his first year, he was redshirting, and Dr. Thompson, who's still our team doc, was out at practice one day, and he didn't always have the opportunity to come to practice. He'd see guys after practice. He was out there, and we're looking around, and he kind of was noticing the other field, some stuff going on, the ball zipping everywhere too. And he'll tell you the story too. He said, "Who is that?" And I looked over there, and I said, "That's the future." I was quite prophetic that day, but he certainly was. But
What I want to move on to Dalvin. So Dalvin, the whole thing with his hamstrings, but then he would come back to play again. What was happening there? I mean, it was almost like he knew if his hamstring was about to go, and he would pull himself out, and then you guys would check him on him, and then next thing you know, he's back in the game running for 45 yards. I mean, what was going on with Dalvin and his hamstrings?
Dalvin is I've told people this too. People always say, "Who's the best?" That's the guy. Right. And we talked about Jameis, and Jameis is certainly special. But I tell people, if God came and said, "There's a football game tomorrow, and your soul's on the line, and you can pick one of them dudes," that's the one I'm taking.
Right.
There's no doubt. There's no hesitation. Saying the toughest is not doing it justice. The stuff that this guy would play with just because he wanted to play. So the hamstring, he had one hamstring injury. It was that Wake Forest game, 2015. Right. He busts like a 96-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was like a 96 or 98-yard touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's next drive, he just catches a little swing pass and turns it up funny and pulls his hamstring. So we MRI like crazy. We MRI hamstrings. We have a scoring system on them, and this was a legit hamstring strain. The scoring system we used said this guy usually will probably miss a game, maybe 2 games, that kind of time frame.
Right.
But, we always say you treat the patient and not the MRI. So, but we knew we maybe had a chance. So, of course, the next game is Miami. So Jimbo was just do whatever you have to do. If he can't practice, he can't practice, whatever it's got to be. Right. So, and that was one of the first times we really were able to use this GPS stuff in a setting like this. Sure, always tracking the numbers and then what, right?
Yeah. So
I said, all right, this guy, if we're going to have any chance, like Jim was like, if he can practice, do something by Wednesday, that'll just help me game plan here, right? So Craddock, our GPS guy at the time, I said, look, I need to see what his numbers look like on a normal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what they look like, what his total yards are and all that. So we know we're going to cap that at, say, 40% the first day. If he can get 40% of his normal Wednesday and see how he feels, so he's studying that stuff live during the, so he's like, okay, he's hit 40% of his total yards of what he normally, all right, well, he's done. How do you feel? I was like, I'm not terrible. I feel good. Well, you're done. And we would build that into Thursday as well and Friday as well. And he added a little more every day. But bottom line, all that fancy stuff out the window, the guy's just a tough ass. And he wasn't going to miss a Miami game. Come on, it's Miami. Okay. And obviously had the game of games too, but the whole time I'm standing over there just praying to God that it works, but it's just him, man. So yeah, we would have that Saturday happen, and then he'd be back sore. He'd be somewhat set back, muscles back worn out. And we went through that program of that monitoring for about 3 weeks. and it was working. And then I recall the Georgia Tech game that year we lost. He got a little high ankle sprain during that game and had to miss a game. He missed our game with a high ankle sprain. And again, there's another example, but there were those times though. Yeah, he'd be out the gate against somebody. Louisville, I think, was one, and it just grab him funny, and he'd just go down.
Yeah, and he'd like start limping during the play.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's it. We're done.
And really at the time, I mean, that was kind of the whole offense. I mean, if he goes down,
heck yeah. So we'd get him over there and evaluate him and talk to him some more. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, I'm sure he's done here, but it's always just what he can do. And we'd work on him and we'd stretch him. We'd do some soft tissue work, and he'd move around and say, I feel okay, and he'd just go back in, and certainly if he's out there like limping to the huddle, we're not going to let him stay in there. But it was just him, man. There's nobody like him. Hopefully my first week with the Falcons, I'm going to start getting some trades together.
Put in a good word.
Yeah.
You talked about Dr. Thompson. I wanted to talk about the whole staff you guys have, because when Coach Norvell was gracious enough to let me come and do the story about Keyshawn coming back from his injury last year, and I was able to watch some of your staff work and Alora and everybody, and then I know the relationship you have with the docs at TOC, and it seemed like, I mean, I don't have experience looking at other setups at other schools, but it seems like you guys have had a great setup between the relationships between the staff you guys have, a lot of people that have been there a long time, but then also the docs at TOC. How important has that been to just doing your job?
Couldn't do the job without them. There's lots of different models on how this can be in different schools and places, and some places have a model where you're maybe directly tied with a med school, and you got doctors everywhere, right? You got all the doctors you could ever want. And that's not how we do things with our relationship with TOC. And it's, a long-standing relationship, and from Dr. Haney and Dr. Henderson and how they set it up years ago. And it's what I like. It's what I always wanted and never looked at changing it. And because what it gives you is a doctor, or a couple of doctors in our cases, that are very embedded with you and entrenched with you. When you get into situations where maybe you have somebody different every couple of days, okay, this doc's going to see you on Mondays and Wednesdays, and he's going to see you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It can get messy. Mm-hmm. And having that one voice from who's providing the care, and having, you can really, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Stowers, and some other guys we got very, you just get accustomed to working with each other. You go in the room with somebody and there's a situation to manage, and like we're telepathic even on some things, on what needs to be said to the kid, and everything we need to do to teach the kid and help him understand what's going on. And Dr. Thompson's really good at that in that setting, of explaining to the kid what's going on, and here are the options, and involving the parents, and we educate. We're going to show you this MRI image and show you exactly what we're talking about. It may not make sense to you, but you're going to know you got showed all of it. And that's huge in those relationships that we have. And I couldn't do it without them. And I think they've always thought they couldn't do it without us being who we are on the side of things. It's been a very, very good relationship and constructive relationship to be able to provide the care and maintain the trust with the athletes. And I will really miss that for sure.
And I'll speak to this since I'm sure you won't, but when I did that story, talking to Keyshawn's family and talking to a few other families through the years, I mean, they're real appreciative of the way you guys do, not only take care of their kids, but then also involve them in the process. And I imagine, as a parent, if somebody else is taking care of your kid, and if you don't have information, that would be terribly frustrating. I think they were very appreciative of the way you guys handled that.
It's the only way to do it, and it's just that, it's especially once you have kids, right? How would you want your kid to be handled? How would you want to be treated if it was your kid? And there's many a time on a Saturday, right, that you're standing in the middle of Death Valley for Keyshawn's case or somewhere else, and you're going to call mom right then because you know she's sitting somewhere really worried, when that kid goes on a cart. So we're going to get a hold of her as fast as we can, so she knows what's going on and you can come see him. And I think it's just treating people the way people need to be treated,
Right. How was COVID season? And I know it's not over yet, but I know that part of it fell a lot on you and your staff in terms of the actual, and I know you had a lot of other people helping as well, the medical school and everybody else, but how challenging, is there even a way to describe how challenging this last year has been?
The hardest professional year of my life, and leading up to it, like I said, Jameis was the future. I remember sitting with our staff, and I told them before the players even got back, I told them, I said, this is going to be the most challenging year of our professional lives. If you think it's not, you're crazy. Get ready. And it certainly was. And I'm about to get it back into it worse because it's kind of settled down a little bit on our end of things, where obviously football's off season. You're not mandated to test all the time. And plus things are, in our area especially, things are getting better. Numbers are getting better. Stats are getting better. And I've been getting emails throughout the day in the last week about everything waiting for me when I get up there, that it's not much changed. So somebody's banging on my door. Sorry. But like they're still testing every day before you get in the building for this off season. So I'm about to get back into the mess of it, but it's no fun. There's no doubt about it. It's no fun. There was a point, during this past season, as you're testing 3 times a week, and you're going to test one afternoon. I would get those results early the next morning, as we're getting into the building to start our day really early, open the door at 6. And I'm receiving those results as I wake up, I'm like started to dread looking at that phone every morning. What's this thing going to say, but you just start rolling with it. It is what it is. You just handle it. There's a corny saying that Dr. Elko taught us, so what, now what? I started living by so what, now what this year. Like, okay, these 5 guys are positive. Now we got to do this. I'm not going to go in here and work on sore shoulders and sore hamstrings today. I'm doing this today. And that's what those days became, the contact tracing and the spreading of the information to all the people that need it, and I like to think we got pretty good at it, how we would disperse information as quickly as possible to the staff and who needs it and what's going on today. And these people, all these people today are gone, they got contact traced or something, and
but that had to be,
I won't miss that. One day that's going to be over. And
yeah, but I mean, it had to be incredibly frustrating for the players. I mean,
sure,
so you're having to have those conversations, and
especially when they first got back, they didn't understand it all. Some of them did, but most of them just really didn't grasp what this was or was going to be, or how strict some things were going to be. And like any of it, you got to teach them, you got to educate them as much as you can, and as many opportunities as you can to keep, even how many times you say it over and over again, it may be the 7th time before it really starts to click with one of them, that this is what's going on now, and this means that, especially when you get into contact tracing and exposure and things like that, this means that. And I had to constantly fall back on what are the rules, and you'd get them memorized. And then of course things will start changing as you went through a season as well. But you have to take each individual case, and break it down through the protocol and the rules and find an answer. So.
And then last thing I want to touch on last summer, when you guys were going through everything in terms of everything being shut down, and it was still getting accustomed to a new coaching staff, as you mentioned earlier, Coach Norvell and these new guys. Talking to you at the time, from some stories we did at the time, you seemed very excited about the direction of things. You like Coach Norvell and where things were going. I assume that's still the case. And how have you seen things go over the last year and a half? It seems like things are trending in the right direction. Is that kind of how you feel as you look at it as you're leaving?
Absolutely. And really the hardest part of leaving is that, and I've told him this, and the growth that I've seen in the year he's been here, and that the year being the year that it was, with the time away and all the virtual and the mess that it was. We had said that many months ago. He and I said, if we can get through that, what we just got through together, we're gonna be fine no matter what. Me and you, that was easy to see. But the growth that occurred even in that messed up year that it was tremendous. And I can't imagine what 2 years, say, normalcy, hopefully, of his program being established, how he wants to do things and recruit the way he wants to recruit. And I that's one of the hardest parts about leaving, because I really think I know where it's going, because of him and the staff here and lots of people on his staff. Coach Storms is awesome, really good. The work he's done with his players already and the changes you see. I think the sky's the limit. I do. I think things are going to be really good here really soon. I think there's a chance that it can be. He just got to get it. I think any coach needs it, some time to get it right. And obviously the couple of years we had prior to him getting here and correcting some things, and then this mess of a year that it was, but again, tremendous growth, even in that year, that I think it's going to be really exciting. I do.
Awesome, man. Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for taking the time, man. And good luck with the Falcons. And I know you're going to be back around. Who's going to cook the, I don't know what low country boil or whatever you call the
crawfish boil,
your crawfish boil that you are famous for in the baseball season. What's going to happen there?
I hope somebody invites me. I don't know.
Well,
maybe
sure
that'll be my trip every year. If this NFL's off season and everything they're saying, then maybe I'll still come do it. So
awesome. Well, enjoyed it, Jake. Congratulations again, man. And look forward to talking to you soon and seeing you on the sidelines with the Falcons.
Thank you. I appreciate you and always being a pro and your friendship. Take care, man.
All right, man.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.